Are you also perhaps suffering from a bad case of FOMO? You know, that FOMO that's topped with a huge dollop of frustration, regret and guilt. Luckily for me, and for goodness sake, no sugar has been added to this unpleasant parfait. I want to be a lady of leisure and drink tea and shop all day. But I've also got some incredibly inspiring projects on the go that need my focus. I want to travel far beyond our mountains, but financially it's not a priority now. I want to go and live in India for a few months, but personal commitments keep me here. You get the picture. So what to do? Well, it takes just one quote from Oprah to calm me down. Join me as I share this famous saying and what steps I take to shift my attitude and get focused on the things that matter now. I'm the Forest Fairy. Welcome to my corner of the woods where I'm rebuilding, revamping, redesigning a magical life and hopefully inspire you to gather your own fairy dust. Hello everyone, I hope you're having an excellent week. After a couple of weeks of stormy weather and wind, the sun is edging out, but it has no warmth. In fact, as one local comedian said, it's more like the light in a fridge. But at least it's not raining. So as you hear, I was feeling really bit iffy as I'm unable to do all the wonderful things I want to do. This is because of several legitimate reasons such as time constraints, financial priorities and personal commitments. But even knowing this logic, I'm still out of sorts. It's partly fueled by the time of the year. It's winter here in the southern hemisphere, and several friends and acquaintances fly off on extended trips to warmer climates, either up north to our national parks in the bushveld to view some of our iconic animals and enjoy the beautiful balmy weather, or they're hopping overseas to popular places like France, Croatia and Greece. Social media also doesn't help, as the world seems to have developed a culture of you can have it all, now, immediately. And I've even noticed that the esoteric or spiritual communities encourage you to just believe and manifest it all. So how do you feel about this approach? About having it all at one time? Personally, I don't buy into it. It's actually exhausting to do everything and be everything you want at one time. In fact, Oprah's quote rings true for me. You can have it all, just not all at once. I first heard the saying as a young woman in my mid-30s. I was building a career which seemed very important at the time and was running a household with young children. In other words, my life was quite full and busy, but I was beginning to feel slightly resentful at not being able to do other things, specifically creative ones or travel. I envied the stay-at-home moms and thought their lives were made up of art classes and lunches with friends. And they envied me for the intellectual stimulation of work and the money I was earning. Of course, I know neither of these scenarios is remotely accurate, but the grass is always greener on the other side. Anyway, the Oprah show was aired by our national broadcaster right about the time I would be preparing supper. I just loved her show as it was one of the rare, interesting and exciteful programs available to us at the time. The internet was just beginning. And I just absorbed all she and her guests had to share. One afternoon, while watching out of the corner of my eye, Oprah uttered these life-changing words. I can't even remember the context, but the understanding was immediate. And I felt all the negative FOMO emotions just slide away. Now, I haven't had this bad for a long time, but this week I've had to remind myself of the quote and put some work into getting my attitude right. And here are the steps I'm taking. The first step took courage, as it required me to take an honest look at my life and decide what is important right now. This I did by looking at my life book and reviewing my current fundamental goals. Those goals are the type that when achieved, they will have a significant impact on my life in general and could take a day to achieve, a year, or even 3 years. Lifebook is a document I compiled after completing Mind Valley's excellent in-depth course. It divides life into 11 categories: health and fitness, intellectual life, emotional life, spiritual life, character, love, relationship, parenting, social life, finances, career, and quality of life. Although the depth and uniqueness of this course are amazing, you could also use the popular Wheel of Life to determine the status of your life and where your fundamental goals would be most appropriate. I have 1 or 2 goals for each category. However, it's important to realize that not all goals are created equal, and you need to decide which are your fundamental goals. And yes, this means I won't be able to do or have everything right now, and some things may get shifted to another quarter or another year. But I'm at peace with this now, and the fact that stabilizing my income streams, finances and career, and being available for my mom more regularly as she gets frailer, a form of parenting, and getting my health and fitness back on track are my fundamental priorities for now. I will travel again. I will attend some art classes. I will shop for beautiful things again. I will garden again, but not quite now. This is my second step, but in my own process, I realized my values needed a review. I had identified them many years ago, but I now feel it was maybe done too superficially. So this week, I'll be delving into my values and, if need be, adjusting where necessary so that they can really add value to my life basket. The experts say having 3, maximum 5 values is sufficient. And as Professor Susie Welch says, they tell you a lot about who you are, how you live, and they help you make decisions for everything. Susie uses the fill-in-the-blank method to help you find your values. For example, she says, I will never apologize for living in the city. So she obviously values living in the city. Dr. John DeMartini, a leading inspirational leader, feels that values are verbs as you live by them and uses 13 questions to help you determine your core values. I'll drop more information on these 2 motivators in the description below. Of course, this is probably not going to be a 1, 2, 3 and I've got them. I foresee lots of mulling and thinking. What do your values look and feel like? You've probably also heard the phrase that you need to say no to be able to say yes to the things that matter to you. Here I use both my fundamental goals and my values as the guiding principles. Now there are the things I can easily recognize, such as that too much social media scrolling doesn't support any of my fundamental goals or values, especially considering we all only have 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks in a year, and we don't usually know how many years we've got right. But then there are the more difficult and not so obvious choices. Should I go on a girls' weekend when the finances are low and I need someone to still look after the mongrels? But maybe it would be good for me. This is the same as with the Brules. See the conversation on 6 conventional things I quit to becoming more me. My goals, values, and what I say yes to are incredibly personal and has my unique lens, as do yours. And of course, there are exceptions when you just need to go, do, and be, mostly to ensure you stay sane. I also realize that it means you need to enjoy what you have prioritized. This priority may be successfully done and dusted and then archived to make space for others. So this step is not so much to do with a quote, but to me is the next logical step to achieving those fundamental goals. Being a slightly stronger right brain than left brain, I can sometimes be a bit all over the place. So the one thing I believe deeply in is to develop a structure for my days and my life. And then I can be flexible within the structure. I know it sounds very left brain and too organized, but it keeps me focused at least 70% of the time, and it prevents me from splitting my focus, a precious thing for me. For example, say one of your fundamental goals this year is to re-landscape your garden, as it will then add value to your home. Be a soul soother for your soul and give your children or grandchildren a space to play and explore. Now break this down into smaller objectives such as researching and creating a plan for the garden, building the hard structures, composting the ground, etc., etc. And then break this down to even smaller actions, habits if you will. Something you know if you do every day or at least once a week will eventually add up, and voila, you have a garden. Examples from my own life are 2 daily habits that support my health and fitness, like drinking 2.5 liters of water every day and doing my short immune-boosting routine before I brush my teeth in the morning. Lifebook suggests identifying 12 habits that support your fundamental goals. This is not too overwhelming, but still impactful enough. What habits would support your fundamental goals and help you achieve them? So there you have it, how one very powerful quote reminds me that yes, I can have it all, but not all at once. That I don't have to have FOMO or feel guilty. All I need to do is prioritize and enjoy with the knowing that it will change and life works in phases. Wishing you a wonderful week ahead and sprinklings of fairy dust. Until next time, goodbye.